You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso & Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
You know, Dave.
Yeah, Tasso.
We got to have the conversation we just had off air, because I said to you, you know, Dave, I'm thinking about doing that Dancing with the Stars. You had him in here last week, and as they came out, Terry set me up. I don't know where Terry's at. But
He's at the front door.
He's at the front door. If I run out and attack Terry when he walks in, you'll know why. So he set me up with the Dancing with the Stars people.
Right.
And they you know, they came out and go, "Hey, do you like dancing?" I said, "Yeah, I like dancing."
You didn't know you were being set up, did you?
I didn't know I was being set up. Look, three good-looking women come out and say, "You like dancing." What are you going to say? Right?
So it's a fundraiser.
Right.
And you think you're going to do it, you're going to meet with those people.
I'm going to meet with them on Sunday.
And they team you up with a professional dancer, like the television show.
Yeah, like the television show. So I've been sort of excited. I've been sort of scared about, because, you know, some of those people have been practicing for 6 weeks. Thanks, Terry. I'll get you this year on the side. I'll get you this year on the sidelines.
Hey, no problem. Anything I can do to help.
You know, when those guys come through the sidelines, I'm just going to push them into you when you're sitting there going, "That's a great game here."
Hey, I'm looking forward. I probably have to go out and check this event out now that you're dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't say I'm dancing. Yeah, I'm meeting with Jackie and the dance. So anyway, I'm talking about doing that. So Dave says that they told you who they're going to pair you up with. I said, no, it's a girl from St. Augustine.
Jackie, you said?
Jackie's the girl that's organized. It's a girl from St. Augustine named Alice, I think is her name.
Oh, and I said...
And he says, "Oh, I hear she's 70 years old."
She's 70 years old.
Well, first of all, ballroom chicks are really hot, and second of all, it dovetails into today's conversation about anti-aging. So,
right. I mean, at 70, you could, dance like you're 20.
I told you, at least she knows what she's doing, right? You know?
So I help by setting you up, by setting up the whole topic of this show today with what I did last week, right?
So here's the question to our listeners, and the number is 239-0033. Do you think that I should go in Dancing with the Stars? Because my first answer when they asked me, do I dance well, I said, "Have you ever seen Fred Flintstone dance?"
Call now. 239-0033.
Now, how do you raise money for charity?
I have no idea. Okay. I know the event is $75.
People vote.
The thing is $75 a person.
Ticket.
And the bad thing about it is the weekend of the Greek festival.
Oh, no.
The only thing that saves me is I have to be in Las Vegas for a conference the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I won't be doing the drinking I usually do at the Greek festival.
You drink?
So I might be sober when I get there.
So the Metexac Corporation will be out of year.
Metexac stock is going to go down next year. So I'll fly in on Sunday morning for the dress rehearsal and then go do the show that night. I'm really, I'm concerned about it. I don't know if I should do it or not, so we'll see. I'm just like, Monday night's decision night. So, I could be like those kids that are sought after athletes that call in on the radio show. "Hey, Al, I'm putting on I'm Dancing with the Stars hat."
There you go.
Tell Terry he's really going to get hurt. Well, as we age, we become increasingly aware of our youth and the things. That was the first thing I did is I called a friend of mine who was a yoga instructor and a friend of mine who was a Pilates instructor, and I said, I got to work on my flexibility because I'm not as flexible as I was, and I need to be able to hold those lines and that posture. So I called and I said to Leslie Patterson, I said, "Leslie, I'm going to be talking about aging, toxicity, diet. Who better to have as someone to bounce off of to replace our friend Mitch today?" Because Mitch is still up in Detroit. And actually, I wasn't supposed to be here today, but I stayed in town rather than going on this little seminar I was supposed to go to. So welcome Leslie Patterson with us from Hoppy & Group. Leslie, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm fabulous. And if I get to vote, I vote yes. That you
Really?
go onto Dancing with the Stars. I grew up dancing in a dance company, and I, too, just a few weeks ago was thinking, wow, I've lost that ability to do that, high line kick and the flexibility. And you think about long life and aging and how important it is to stay flexible because we're in the equestrian world now, and you see these older horseback riders shuffling across these fields because the whole backside hamstrings and their calves are so tight and their backs are so wrenched from falling off and taking unexpected flying lessons that flexibility is key. So I think you should definitely want to see the stars. I'll vote yes.
Well, it's interesting. I've always talked about dancing as I think is a great activity because I think that, what happens if you're a runner or if you're a rower or you're a biker, what do? It's a repetitive action, and sometimes repetitive actions have things that overuse injuries develop out of it. But consider dancing. You're changing levels. You're changing speeds, which is our burst training that we've talked so much about. You're moving through different planes. You change directions. I mean, how many people you see riding their bikes backwards or running backwards when they run the bridge, right? So we overdevelop the quadriceps and the hip flexors, and we lend ourselves to the tight calves and the tight hips and things of that nature. And things we did when we were younger that made us healthy, like the running, today contribute to our hip flexors being tight, so we refer back pain in. So these are things, Leslie, I'm 50 years, I'm almost 60 years old. I think of talking about time flying, but I can still do a split. And so I look at that and I go, okay, I'm in good enough shape to do the 2-minute dance. I got relatively good hamstring flexibility, but I don't know if I have the foot speed. So I'm just really concerned about all this. So it'll be interesting. So those of you that are out there, 239-0033, give us a shout. So Leslie, we're going to try and get to, really, I call it anti-aging, but we're going to bring a lot of things into the conversation today. And I've really broken it down into 5 secrets of anti-aging. And I didn't get to go over these with you the other day, but let's talk about the first secret of anti-aging, and that's eliminating sugar. Because if you eliminate sugar, it decreases inflammation of the cell membrane. And so we don't talk enough about inflammation, and you made a statement of a fact the other day that we know to be substantively, we know the evidence is greater and greater, and that's this. 98% of all chronic disease is caused by inflammation. And when we say arthritis, heart disease, high blood pressure, it doesn't matter what you pick. The things that we call the autoimmune diseases are linked to inflammation. Let's talk a little bit about eliminating sugar from the diet. Do we have the first vote coming in?
It's a vote on whether you should dance or not. Go ahead.
Okay.
Come on, caller.
Tasso, it's for charity. Please dance. Tasso, please dance.
Well, the charity may suffer if I dance.
Well, Tasso, people will come out if you dance. Please dance.
Well, we'll see. We'll make the decision. We'll see how it goes today on the voting.
Everybody call Tasso and tell him to dance.
All right, thank you.
I don't know who that is.
I have no idea who that is either. So let's talk about it because, and here's the core of it. If you want to age faster than anybody else in your neighborhood, simply raise your glucose and your insulin level. Okay? Many people are more and more concerned about their health. They talk about vitamins, and we do it. We're trying to get people to eat healthier with their exercise. And let's be very, very straightforward about it. This anti-aging formula has to do with diet, it has to do with exercise, and it has to do with supplementation. So let's talk about eliminating sugar from the diet first, Leslie.
Well, and I want to clarify because every single time I say eliminate sugar, inevitably people look at me and say, well, I don't really eat sweets. So let's talk about sugar to start, and what is sugar and what does the body recognize as sugar? And I find the biggest culprit out there are the hidden sugars in the condiments, in the salad dressings, in the packaged and processed foods. And then so many people forget to realize that refined carbohydrates include grains. And so it is the breads, pastas, rices, things like that you're eating that your body's recognizing as sugar.
And let's go to the Holy Grail for a minute. Let's go to one of the Holy Grails. Let's go to oatmeal. People are eating oatmeal and they go, oh, oatmeal's so healthy for you. I eat oatmeal every day. And I ask them, where's your protein along with that oatmeal? Where's that balance of the plate to have the protein and the fiber and everything? And they go, oh, well, protein's healthy. But there is a YouTube video called the Pepsi-Cola Challenge that they take and drink, measure blood sugar after eating a bowl of oatmeal. and a 16-ounce Pepsi, and the blood sugar is just as high from eating the oatmeal. So there you have the response that goes to the body, because
Right.
so much of the oatmeal has been processed these days. It's not the oatmeal that we would purchase from Love Whole Foods or another reputable health firm. It's processed when you're getting it in many cases out of that. And then there's the grain. One of the reasons is grain. Most of it's GMO now. And the second thing, like you said, it's a sugar that we don't count. But people will then turn around and chastise eating fruit as they need to take sugar. And I don't recommend it. Let's be very clear. You need sugar in your body. It's just that if you have a body that is insulin dominant, you then start to make your body be insulin dominant, and you shut down glucagon production and you shut down leptin production, which are the things that control appetite and the things that burn fat.
Exactly. And glucose is going to cause basically an inflammation and etching in the artery walls as well, too. So when you're looking at heart disease and the entire circulatory process of your body getting nutrients to the areas where they need, sugar is a major disruptor in that process.
And I made a comment at the outset of this that if you want to age faster than anybody, raise your blood sugar and raise your glucose level. And think of a diabetic. They have a dysregulation of all the above hormones, leptin, glucagon, and insulin that we've talked about so far. And they don't die of diabetes. They die of aging prematurely. Okay? Because they develop diseases like heart diseases, stroke, obesity. So they literally at a cellular level, they're aging a lot faster. And the outward appearance that gives us the evidence of this is what happens when you get elevated glucose, which most Americans have, not just diabetics, and it meets protein. There's a process called glycation, and glycation is like rust on your bumper. It eats away you slowly. Now, what's the physical evidence of glycation? You know those age spots people get, Leslie? Those are the age. That's a physical, and you can't take and rub creams on it and everything else. That's not going to make it go away. So it's actually called, the process is given an acronym called AGES. It's called Advanced Glycation End Products. And this chemical reaction, glucose combines with protein, and your skin has what's called collagen in it, and the protein oxidizes due to glycation, and the degeneration begins with wrinkles, age spots, and other things like skin disease. So that's one of the evidences here of why we want to eliminate sugars. Now, there's a lot of people that try to take supplements to get rid of sugars in their diet. And I don't know that that's a solution. Have you seen anything that helps from us? Because this is coming into the realm of your expertise, Leslie. Have you seen herbs or supplements that help to maybe balance or level blood sugar other than?
Of course, there's tried and true, chromium picolinate, there's cinnamon, there's things you can do. But like I always tell people, you can't outrun your fork, and you can't out-supplement your fork either. And so this whole idea of trying to take a pill to undo what you just had for breakfast or the foods that you're eating, I think is the wrong approach. Someone that's having damage in their pancreas and they're having problems regulating their blood sugar, yes, get supplementation to help you as you make the necessary changes into the diet, of course. But Taza, let's tell people too, because my passion is, once we kind of uncover something and show a truth about avoiding sugars, my passion is to tell people what to do. So what would you eat for breakfast? What would you add instead, or how do you avoid those breads and those pastas?
Well, number one, I have a couple staples for breakfast that I really like. Number one is my all-time favorite, and people say, oh, I don't have time for this. But think about this. Every Sunday I take my vegetables that I really like, and I cut them all up, and I put them in a Tupperware. So I come out in the morning, and I crack 1 to 2 eggs, and I'll put an egg white in there as well for convenience, and I will take a big tablespoon and I'll dump in the vegetables, and I'll stir them, and I'll put them in the microwave, and I'll cook them for about 2 minutes in the microwave. I'll pull them back out, and I'll take some of my Beyond Organic cheese or some other raw cheese I have, and I'll sprinkle that over the top, and I'll pop it back in the microwave, and I'll cook it for another minute, pull it out, can eat it with a spoon, drop it in. So in less than about 6 or 7 minutes, I've had a really healthy breakfast from that standpoint. I like scrambled eggs with a piece of fruit a lot of times. I like shakes. Shakes have become the easiest thing for me. If I do oatmeal, I will have with my oatmeal a heavy protein of either putting in what do you call it, eggs, or I'll actually take my protein product, one of my protein powders, and put them into it. So those are a couple of them. And if I'm in a real rush, I grab a banana or apple and I put some peanut butter on it, and out the door I go. That kind of thing.
I think it's important to have a variety of different choices in the morning. And I think it's important, and if you heard me cringing over the radio each time you said microwave, I'll do a visual for you. Oh, oh, no microwave. But I actually, about a decade ago, took the microwave and put it out into my warehouse, and my entire family just gasped, and they couldn't believe I was removing the microwave from the house. But the reason why I did that is because I could not stop using it any other way. I found myself, even though I had the desire not to use the microwave, turning around and popping things, as you said, into that microwave. So I removed it, and now it's not even in the warehouse anymore. I can tell you, with a tea kettle on the stove and a cast iron skillet that's well seasoned that sits on my stove, I can do anything almost faster than you can do it in the microwave.
Well, I'm not that skilled yet, but I got to tell you, when I was cleaning my mom's house out, I found 5 cast iron skillets.
I'll pick them up whenever you want.
No. Those are becoming heirlooms because my son-in-law is a chef, and I called him. He said, "Really? You got really old cast iron?" I mean, these things were in my mom's restaurant in 1960. That's how old they are.
Beautiful. Cast iron, well seasoned. I just got back from Bozeman, Montana, and everyone in Montana just leaves their cast iron sitting across their gas stoves, just kind of wiped out and well seasoned. You can even cook your egg in there without any additional oils, because they're so well seasoned. But in the morning, I'm similar to you. I usually have kale, collards, chard, something in there. And my all-time favorite breakfast is throwing in some onions, garlic, and kale and letting that really saute down pretty quickly, and cracking a couple of my straight from the chicken coop eggs into the cast iron skillet. And it's beautiful, and it's a great breakfast, and it fuels me. Or if I'm in a real hurry, everybody find your favorite protein powdered meal replacement. My particular favorites run along the lines of vegan protein powders. There's whey protein powders out there, but find something quick on the go, and I just mix that into some unsweetened almond milk in a shaker cup and run out the door.
Right.
And it's beautiful. So you need to have grab and goes. I'm a food combining person as well, so I don't think you should eat fruit except on an empty stomach. So there are many days I start with fruit first, and then I'll mid-morning have one of the shakes, and then by lunchtime have a huge salad, and then a nicely combined meal in the evening. But it's all about adding things good, finding good replacements, and realizing you can wrap, kind of like sandwich meat into a collard leaf. You can turn around and put something onto a big salad instead of putting it on bread or on a bun. You can find an amazing gluten-free pasta, or I've become a huge fan these days of spaghetti squash, of taking the squash, cutting it in half, throwing it in the oven, roasting it, and scraping the spaghetti out of the squash and tossing it with it, whatever you'd like, as you would typically do a pasta. So just try little things and start being aware of it, and then adding something good. And I think that's the biggest advantage in eliminating the sugar from your diet.
And if you're going to eat out too, and if you're going to eat out and you're going to get your grains and that type of thing, there are some healthy grains. There's wild rice, there's brown rice. Now, not brown rice like you got brown rice that they give you at the Chinese places where they put the soy in it to make it brown, but real brown rice. There's millet, and there's non-GMO corn. Those are great grains to have and to add into your things. And one of my favorite things to do is I've gone and I've met Josh, who owns Tijuana Flats here in Daytona, and I've gone to Chipotle's, and I go to them and I look and see what they've got, and I check out that they're really brown. It's really brown rice they're using, and I'll make my nice little bowl right there. I'll put my chicken in it, and that if I'm out on the run. So there are good alternatives for eating out as well from that standpoint. Now we have Leslie Patterson on with us, and Leslie is with Hoppy and Company, but she's here representing Love Whole Foods. So the next topic I want to go into is addressing anti-aging secret number 2 is increasing healthy fats and providing building blocks to the cell membranes, which we'll talk a little bit about the effect of inflammation. Before we do that, though, Love Whole Foods, who you're here on behalf of today, you've stood in for Mitch today, is having a couple great seminars. Let's push those seminars for just a moment.
Oh, I didn't get the list of the seminars.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure which ones are coming up. They
I
have
know
it on
I know they have one in August. They
Yep.
have one in August, but the one that I'm most interested in is in October at the Calvary Center. Is Dr. Michael?
Oh, where they doing Michael Murray? Is he coming back in town?
Yes.
Fabulous, Michael. Natural Factors, and he and Terry Limeron, who I work closely with, are pillars in the natural health community, and they just have a great, vast amount of experience, research, and information to offer. And he gives a great lecture. So, do you have the date that Michael is coming?
While we talk about this secret, I'm going to go to the website. But let's talk about increasing healthy fats and providing good building blocks. You know, what we don't realize is we have, and again, I think you and I talked about it last week, just briefly, or the last time we talked, is they've taken Greek yogurt, which was now became this big health secret for people that was so great for the gut and all that stuff. And what do? They made it 0% fat, right? They took all the fat out of it. Well, what they've done is they've taken the health out of the yogurt. It's not healthy yogurt anymore because of, number one, the additives they put in there to give it some taste, and number two, they've taken all these healthy components, and we've villainized fat, you know, that it's so bad for us. But the reality is we need fat, and you know, two of the fats we need the most, one of them is cholesterol. You know, cholesterol is what the brain functions on. But for people who don't understand what the cell looks like in reality, is the cell it's a double phospholipid membrane, meaning it's made up of fat as a lipid. And these receptor sites we talked about when we talked about what sugar mutes and holds the signal down so the cell can function, those are floating on what they call lipid rafts. They move through the cell membrane, and so they can pick up intelligence, and they can tell the cell what to do. It's what we call epigenetics now, as a term that's coming out. So, and the other thing is, we know that the key to anti-aging is hormones. Well, listen, fats are essential to hormones. So what we have to do is we have to fix the receptor sites that read those hormones, and we have to rebuild the good building blocks for the cell membrane. And a lot of us try to take in supplements for that, but the reality is we get, what's one of the best proteins, one of the best fats we can get? CLA. Where's CLA the highest? Grass-fed beef. We're not getting it.
Exactly, and there's a huge nutritional difference between grass-fed beef and grain-fed beef. And so just in the nutritional matrix, and I just love to always push my mantra of this, sugar makes you fat. Fat doesn't make you fat. It's sugar that makes you fat. And 80% of the dry weight of your brain is cholesterol. Cholesterol has no direct correlation to heart disease. I'll say that again. Cholesterol has no direct scientifically proven correlation to heart disease. And so what is going on in this country? Why are these statin drugs being pushed left and right, where even some of the top MDs and who wrote a book, The Great Cholesterol Myth, with Johnny Bowden, is Dr. Steve Sinatra. And Dr. Sinatra has written in there that even in his cardiovascular practice, he's an MD, he would only give a statin drug to a male between the ages of 49 and 69 who has had an incidence of a heart attack or a stroke. Hello? Why are we seeing these prescriptions for the statin drugs everywhere? Because cholesterol is needed to make hormones, all of your sex hormones. Cholesterol is needed to manufacture vitamin D into your body. Cholesterol is needed for the bile acids in your stomach. And if you don't have enough acid in your stomach, you can't digest your food. And it doesn't matter what food you're eating or supplements you're taking if you can't break those fibers down and break those nutrients down for absorption. So cholesterol is critical. So when you look around, I urge everyone, take information, soak it in, and then just gaze around you at what's going on and think about cause and effect and what's actually working. And when you see the dramatic increase in the use of statin drugs along with the dramatic increase of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, and you see people with muscular issues, neuropathy issues, all kinds of negative side effects, and go, I wonder if that's working, and question things.
And so perfect to the timing of looking up the events at the Love Whole Foods And on August 29th at the Port Orange location at 7 p.m., the connection between diabetes and heart disease seminar is going to be there, and I'm sure that they will address some of the things. And I'll keep looking at their seminar series because I really want to find out when they have the other ones going on. So, but that's a very important aspect. So we've touched a little bit on that. And you made a statement. There's some people out there probably about wrecked their cars, Leslie. They're driving along and you said there is no connection between cholesterol and heart disease. Well, let's take the one banner study. Okay, one study by the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA's medical school did a study. They studied 541 hospitals and 137,000 incidences of heart disease. What did they find in the correlation of cholesterol? They found, number one, that 50% of the people that were admitted with heart attacks had high cholesterol, 50% didn't. It varied a little bit. It was like 49.5, 50.5. But that's not a very distinguishing thing to say cholesterol caused it. The second thing that they found was that 80% of the people who had heart attacks were on statin drugs. We've begun to beat that number up. And again, we go back to the health of the cell membrane, and we want to look at it. Fat's been given this bad reputation. And you said fat doesn't make you fat. Sugar makes you fat. Well, I'll go one step further. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. Not being able to burn fat makes you fat. And if you don't have healthy fats, you can't burn fat. You need fats to burn fat. You need fats for energy. But what we have done is we've made ourselves sugar burners because we have those hidden sugars, that corn, the high fructose corn syrup, the candies we eat, the processing we eat. If you're opening a bag for your snacks that's like, from Frito-Lay, and listen, I'm one of the biggest Dorito fans in the world. But I got to tell you, in this last 3 years, I've probably eaten less Doritos than I've eaten ever. Because you know what? I began to learn that processing, that frying of those chips, and I don't care if they bake the chips or not, the grease and stuff, the way they make those things at some point are processing it to where there's high sugar to your body is what you're taking in. So
oils go rancid. Oils go rancid. And so when you're eating out and you're eating fried foods, it's completely different than if you were to make a fresh batch of a high heat safe oil in a frying pan and cook your dinner. It's a completely different experience than someone is not changing out the big batches of overheated oils that have now gone rancid, and now you're frying your foods in there. So not all fats are created equal.
So now let's go back and let's talk about healthy fats to eat. Okay, let's give people, like you said, let's give people choices. How about grass-fed meat? Here's one that the older people in our audience will love: cod liver oil, olive oil and olives, grapeseed oil, avocados, grapeseed oil, vegetables, coconut milk and oil as a spread, full fat plain yogurt or Greek yogurt, full fat plain yogurt, the one that says from 4% milk, cashew butter, canned sardines, raw nuts, seeds, almonds, cashews, flax, hemp, pecans, pine nuts, macadamia, sesame seeds, sunflower, and walnuts, coconut or coconut flakes, flaxseed oil, almond butter, regular butter, raw cheeses, full raw fat raw milk, and eggs. Great fats in that.
Let me sum that up. Ready? Eat real food. If you notice all the things he listed, they were in their natural state. Nothing was in a packaged form or label. So eat real food. You can't go wrong.
And if we do that, if we eat real food, well, for instance, peanut butter is a great choice for a lot of people. Okay, they love peanut butter. They're comfortable with peanut butter. But look at the label. If it has anything other than peanuts in it, put it up and go look at another one. Now, I told someone that the other day, and they go like, "But it doesn't taste as good." I said, "Listen, what's it missing?" She says, "I don't like the taste. It's not sweet enough." I said, "Put a little honey in it."
Exactly. Not a high fructose corn syrup. Put in it what you would put in it. You're not going to turn around and grab a high fructose corn syrup that's in most of them. Add some honey. And add a little stevia. Add something else.
And here's something I read the other day. Someone told me to build your immune system because I have my little. Very soon I'll be unveiling my big philosophy of fitness. Brain health, immune system health, and gut health. And that little triangle that I'm going to talk about and building the immune system. I was reading an article the other day, and they said that you should, if you're a person that suffers from allergies, they said you should have a little locally raised honey every day, because the antigens in it will begin to fortify your body's immune system so that you don't respond to the local allergens that you see seasonally in the environment.
And pollen will do that too. The bee pollen will do that as long as it's a sustainable, harvested, sustainably clean area that they're getting the pollen from. Pollen will do the same thing, but in that whole brain and immune system function, it's all in your gut. It's all in your intestines. So probiotics. And I can tell you, I've traveled all over the country, and I work predominantly on the east coast of Florida. And hands down, if you're not going to be making your own kefirs, kombuchas, fermented foods, and your own yogurts and things like that to get your own huge, high probiotic, live food, good gut flora, then go into Love Whole Foods and get the BioK. The BioK, I know, carries a high price tag, but I'm telling you, it's what I get on the road. It's not a company that I represent, and that is hands down the best probiotic that's available unless you're making your own cultured foods.
And again, the let's go to that, because you mentioned the price tag. And, you know, people come to me, and I did a presentation to a lady the other day, and this lady was price motivated and looking for a fitness center. And I said, listen, our memberships, for what you need, our memberships start at $59.50 a month. And really what you need is one-on-one. She says, oh, I can't afford it. I come from an area where for $20 a month, I got a 100,000 square foot facility. I said, well, this isn't that area. I said, I don't know what you were at, but in our conversation, she told me about a neck history, a back history. She'd had some surgeries, and I shudder that when people are going to go, and they're going to go into a facility that says, here, just go work out, and we're going to just show you the machines, and you go do your own thing, that for whatever price tag it is, the risks that they're willing to take for that. So I go back and I look at that and I say, you're going to invest in something that's going to help you. But since I've been more prolific about eating the grass-fed beefs and the raw cheeses and things, the one thing I keep commenting, and I keep hearing this comment back from my friends that I get to eat like this as well, we're satiated with less food. In other words, we're fuller, faster. Why? Because we're getting real
you're nourishing your bodies.
That's right. We have another.
You've got Miranda from Love Whole Foods with some of those dates you were trying to find.
Miranda, thank you for saving us, because, you know, all I could find was the August dates. And I go like, I know they got some great seminars coming.
Yes, we do. And I only have a second because I'm kind of on the floor, so I'm hoping it's not noisy as well. But I was laughing because Leslie is actually the one coming next month in September. Leslie, you're speaking on the 19th about turmeric and iodine, which, of course, we are looking forward to. And let's see here. It's
That's
October
in September,
3rd.
though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
That's September. And then in October, on the 3rd, that's when Dr. Michael Murray is coming to Calvary. It will be at 7.
Right.
And it looks like... Oh, wow, it looks like we know what he's talking about now. It's called Take Back Your Life, and I know it'll be regarding his new book.
Okay. Now, where is Leslie speaking? Ormond or Port Orange?
She will be speaking at the Ormond Beach store.
Okay, so
I'll be in the Port Orange store as well, September 4th, because I just pulled up on my calendar, Miranda, since you said that. September 4th at 7 o'clock, I'll be in the Port Orange store, and September 19th, I'll be in the Ormond location.
Oh, excellent. I'll have to pencil in the 4th.
All right, and then we know August 29th, the connection between heart disease and diabetes will be given. That seminar will be given in Port Orange. And then give the date again for Dr. Michael.
Yes, that will be on October 3rd. That is also a Thursday, and that will be at 7 o'clock at the Calvary Church here in Ormond.
All right, great. So more information, go to Love Whole Foods and get that. Miranda, we appreciate you saving our butts, because, you know, it's like, you know what they say when you assume, and I just assumed that Leslie would have the dates, and I go, so Leslie, this is a great transition to talking about healthy fats, and let's talk about, and she goes, well, I didn't actually pull those up, and I go, woo.
And I'm the one speaking. How funny.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm glad I was able to listen in. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Miranda.
And let me just tell you, too, at Love Whole Foods, I know, Taza, how you're talking about people with gym memberships. When you go into Love Whole Foods, one of the largest, independent, oldest health food stores in the state of Florida, you get consultation, that of which you usually have to pay for $50 to $100 for free on the floor with an experienced staff.
And that's one thing that Mitch is very proud of is his staff. We have another caller.
Got James on the line.
Hi, James. Welcome to Fitness Friday.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Question I have is my wife uses Splenda sugar blend to make tea to drink, and I've noticed that it's disappeared in the stores, and I can't find it anywhere. Is there a problem with it?
With Splenda?
Yeah, the Splenda sugar blend. It's none of the stores are carrying it. All the different shopping grocery stores, I've gone everywhere, and it's taken off all their shelves. Nobody has Splenda, the sugar blend.
There was probably an issue with an extraction or processing method. I can tell you that it is stevia is going to be a beautiful sweetener for beverages. It's what we use in our house. We use xylitol for baking replacements with sugar, but we use stevia for the beverages. And it's kind of like that whole Truvia thing, too. That Truvia, it's a change in the extraction of the stevia, so get a quality stevia. Splenda, there's a website called The Truth About Splenda, and it's not very favorable as far as the reaction. So Splenda would be considered an artificial sweetener, so it's something that is man-made. I would encourage you to dabble into natural, zero glycemic index sweeteners or low glycemic index sweeteners that are available at the health food stores. It's the same thing with salt. When you're looking at sugars, get one that's natural, that's not been heavily processed, and your body's going to accept it and recognize it a lot better without any negative side effects.
Great. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, James, for calling in. All right, so secret number 3 is increasing specific anti-aging oxidants to heal our cells and turn on genes related to life extension. When our body is toxic, it causes us to turn on bad genes. When we get these free radicals, they turn off good genes and they turn on bad genes. So more and more research is showing these effects, and we need the antioxidants from the standpoint of we produce some huge free radicals in our body, especially, believe it or not, as you exercise. Now, we've got to make sure that we don't, we talked on this show, I don't want to get too much in because we only got 17 minutes and Dave's already giggling that we're not going to get through these 5 anti-aging secrets. We talked about telomeres and how we increase the process of aging and how all this goes into Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all these neurodegenerative diseases. So we want to make sure that we are, and it becomes, talk about making alternatives, it becomes very easy to make those shakes that we snack on with fresh blueberries, blackberries, and blueberries I think are probably the most researched one from that standpoint.
You know what the ORAC value is on the blueberries? An ORAC value is a method of kind of rating the antioxidant potential of a food or a supplement. So I think what blueberries fall around 8,000, 9,000 on the ORAC value.
I don't know the value. So you're saying okay. So that's a very high value.
That is a somewhat high value. And so it's definitely great to get all kinds of antioxidant properties into your smoothies and into your shakes. But we're so embattled in this inflammation war in our bodies because of the air we breathe, the water we drink, the foods, and the antibiotics we're taking and things in our lifestyle, that sometimes you need like that little superhero to fly in and to help you take over the battle and to win the battle with oxidative stress and damage throughout your body. And I can tell you that curcumin from turmeric bound to phospholipids for absorption. ORAC value on that, are you ready? Holding on to your seat. 1.5 million on the ORAC value. 1.5 million. And so that's when I tell people, yes, you want to always start with food, always avoid bad things and add good things. But when you get a powerhouse that you can add that will mock eating in India for the day and give you oxidative protection of 1.5 million on the ORAC value, you want to seek that out. And that's the BCM95. It's been heavily researched also by Dr. Ajay Ghul, the director of epigenetics at Baylor University in Texas. And he's the one that kind of isolated the fact of what it was doing in the field of the genes and turning on sleeping genes.
And you turn on the fat genes, you turn off the fat genes by the way, and the process we haven't got the opportunity to talk about now is called methylation. And so but we could discuss that on a later show, but because that's where a lot of the supplementation really can come in and help as well as a good meat. But once again, we come back to the good things to have: grass-fed meats, raw dairy from grass-fed cows, avocados, walnuts, and berries. And the goji berry gets a lot of press. The acai berry gets a lot of press. Raspberries, blackberries, those kind of things help going back to the eating. And you talk about curcumin, but curcumin has so many anti-inflammatory type things, because it's not just turmeric. It's a full supplement.
Yeah,
and
curcumin is 112 molecules, like 12 different pathways in the body crossing the blood-brain barrier. So it's a total body anti-aging, antioxidant for the whole body.
And that's so important to people. And I suggest that they have that after the exercise. They go, well, what can I do after? Well, I tell them, I said, well, the first thing I want you to do after you exercise is I want you to get a protein drink in you within 15 minutes. I want that protein drink to have 2.5 grams of carbohydrate per 1 gram of protein, because it's been shown that is the best mixture for recovery. Because when we work out, we tear our body down. We tear our body down, and we go into what's called catabolism, and we want to be in anabolism. And so right afterwards, we want to have that shake within 15 minutes. I actually make a shake for my people where I have the protein and I have some vitamin C that I put in the drink and stuff like that for a lot of people. If you personally train with me, Leslie, you have sitting in my office a supplement list that I just go in and I make boom, 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 and I make your drink right before your workout, and it's ready for you at the end of the workout. Because in that first 15 minutes, I want this in you, because you're going to recover. And people at first, they're resilient to it, and they fight it, and they, I've been training for a long time. I said, I can't believe that my body's actually getting stronger every workout, and I feel the effect of that one drink. And I say, and it's part of the whole formula with how they begin to eat and stuff. But, the other thing is, for my older clientele, I've sent them to Love's. I said, listen, go buy the extra strength curcumin, because that's what's going to really help you through this, so that the inflammation, the aches and pains start to go away. And it does take a period, and I think I said this on the show with you last time. Bruce Miller is one of my mentors in nutrition, said if you're getting good quality supplements, key word, good quality supplements, and you're not feeling the effect of those supplements, there's 2 reasons for it. You haven't been taking them long enough, and you haven't been taking enough of it. So a lot of supplements we buy at Walmart or Walgreens or those places, they say they have stuff in, but the reality is they don't use quality products, and they don't have enough to substantiate what was going on in the literature when the research was done to tell you how much this. That's not what you find in the products that Mitch pushes and that you represent. And from that standpoint, I'd like to talk a little bit more, because the 4th secret is addressing exercise as a thing. And the final secret, in case we don't get to it, is taking the proper supplements. And so I just want to give you that heads up, because I think that you have an awful lot of knowledge in that area to help people from just a core basic supplementing pattern from that standpoint. But let's talk a little bit about your curcumin product for just a minute, because you're running around in this. I think the very first time I met you and I found out you're the curcumin rep, I started teasing you about your little vehicle you had outside.
People people will call me and say, I saw you on the turnpike, or I saw you on 95. And so, yes, I am the one that runs around town in the Porcello Got Pain, Curamin is your answer vehicle. So that is me, and I give many a health lecture. Feel free to approach me when you see me. I do carry samples and literature with me, and I'll spend my time late at night, on the weekends, early in the morning, whenever, at a Service Plaza gas station. Or I had a gentleman in my hometown in Eustis kind of hobble across the parking lot of Lowe's and say, does it really work? Do you have a sample? I said, unconditional guarantee. We can't say unconditional guarantee if I'm putting fairy dust into the product, or we have a product that is ineffective. The beauty of the Curamin is the formulator, Terry Limron, is 40 years in the industry, over 400 formulations, and his philosophy is this. If he's going to put together a formulation, the ingredients are going to be based on, ready, human clinical studies, not petri dishes, not animal studies, human studies. Did it work, and was it effective in the human body? And when he looks at those successful studies, he says, well, I want the ingredient that was used in that study. And so let's use the exact same ingredient, because plants vary from time of year grown, location grown year to year. And so there's changes. So you want the exact same matrix in that plant that's used in the study and the exact same amount of the ingredient. And that's why the entire Terry Naturally line is an unconditional guarantee. I tell people, please, please, please bring me back an empty bottle, not a full bottle. Try the whole thing. And so effectiveness is key, because the most expensive supplement you can take is the cheapest one that doesn't work. And so, and I'll say that again, the most expensive supplement you take is the cheapest or the least initial investment that doesn't work, because you've just wasted your money. So you want to deal with people, and that's why I love Mitch at Love Whole Foods and the whole staff there. They're there in the aisles. They get to see you again the next day, next week, next month if your product didn't work that they gave you. So why would they hand you a product that's not going to be effective? They want you to get results. They want you to be matched up with the proper ingredients. So that was what makes it fun for me, driving around that bright yellow vehicle and passing out samples. And it works. It's anti-inflammatory. So all pain is inflammation. Pain is acute inflammation. It is your body's natural response to a tear down or a recovery mode or healing that needs to happen. And what curcumin does in that instance is to help pull back some of that inflammation, and thus also allowing your body, with the DLPA, the amino acid, it's allowing your body's own endorphin or natural pain responses a little longer of a head time. So we're getting in and fueling your body for what it needs in dealing with the inflammation that's going on. And so very, very effective product.
And as you say that, I now go into the realm of being controversial again, because, you know, Dave knows this about me. Years ago, I would when I first started I've gone through this metamorphosis, I guess. You know, when I first started, Dave, do you remember when I used to first come on and people would say Tasso hates aerobics because we didn't have an aerobics center in our first fitness center in 1987, 88, 89, when we were just doing one-on-one training. And I succumbed to the pressure a little bit. And I was telling the story last night about how Arthur Jones got upset with me because I put in an aerobic program. And then as we went through, I would sit and I would watch people do aerobics, and I would see that their bodies didn't change like they would if they were diligent to their eating and working out. So the transition that the hobbling across the thing, I said, this is a great transition. I got to get in here on this, because so many people get into this chronic exercise. You walk around, you see people walking, running, they go to aerobic classes, they go 7 days a week, they beat the treadmills up. And the fact of the matter is, I want you to think about this, Leslie, and listeners. Think about out there that this concept is that look at two athletes. Look at a sprinter and look at a marathon runner. Who do you want to look like? Okay? Who do you want to look like? Do you want to look full, well-defined, nice muscle bellies, skin not beaten up and aged from running out in the sun? Or do you want to look like the marathon runner who's, most of the times, if they're an elite marathon runner, they're skinny. You go like, boy, when was the last meal that guy ate? Now, a lot of people take up marathon running to try and lose weight, which is absolutely not the right thing to do. Because the beating the over body, you talk about inflammation. We're not talking about joint inflammation. We're talking about the body inflaming because you're beating the body so much.
And reducing your immune system, too. Your immune system takes such a hit with those long-distance runnings. It's detrimental to your body.
And that's right. And see, you know, something that's supposed to be beneficial stress to your body, there's good stress and bad stress. Something like exercise should contribute a good beneficial stress to the body, because it takes you through the fight or flight response, and it gets those high intensity levels of compounds and hormones that out of the body and used like they're supposed to be used in the process, so that we get a healing process. What we do is we get oxidative stress built up because we're pounding the pavement for so long. So what I talk about is high intensity interval training and strength training that pushes you in that anaerobic threshold. It's not enough to go and to strength train and say, I'm going to do 8 reps, I'm going to do 10 reps, because you never tax the system. You never get the system. And most people walking around, most gyms for 3 months have been using the same weights. Why do you see the kids that are in high school that change their body so dramatically lifting weights? Why does it occur? Well, some of it's bad news in that they get so caught up with how much weight they can lift is they challenge themselves every time they work out. Now, what happens to them is a lot of times they overtrain and they get injured. But the concept of challenging the body to change and be progressive is very important. And burst training as an aerobic tool, we know pretty well now that aerobic training does not affect fat loss. It affects it while you're doing it. But if you're truly burst training and strength training, guess what happens, Leslie? Your body, some evidence shows us now that your body burns your fat stores for up to 36 hours after you work out. So we have a program going on right now at Bodez called the 8-Hour Body. It is 8 hours of workouts over 8 weeks. So per week, you're going to exercise less than 1 hour. In that hour, you're going to strength train, and you're going to do about an 8 to 12 minute routine on our SciFit equipment. That is going to begin to change your body and help the aging process. And these things that we've talked about as secrets that have encompassed basically good diet, good supplements, good exercise habits, also relate very heavily to reducing stress and to weight loss reduction, because all those things are fueled by the same thing that fuels aging, inflammation. So I want to encourage people to call 672-6464 and to make an appointment to come down and get enrolled. $99 for 8 weeks. It's no long-term membership agreement. We want to show you exactly what you can do. And as we do this, you're going to see the effect of aerobic long-term oxidative stress kind of exercise. It drives down your hormones. It drives down your immune system, like Leslie mentioned. But when you burst train and you strength train properly and you rest, guess what happens? You raise hormone levels. You raise the level of activity and the strength of your immune system, because we get it going in the right direction from that standpoint. When you exercise and you do 40 or 50 minutes of aerobics every day, guess what you raise? Cortisol levels. It's a natural body process. What do cortisol levels do? They give you belly fat. Now someone sells you a bill of goods and says, hey, buy this pill because it'll get rid of belly fat. We could have done it by just exercising and eating right. So
Exactly.
Leslie, we got about a minute and a half left. And we've promoted Love Whole Foods. I want to make sure I get a note out there for Dr. Lorenzo Fon, our acupuncture and beauty treatment guy. Does a great job. And we've talked about stress today. We talked about balancing hormones. From a physical standpoint, Dr. Fon does a wonderful job of helping. I went yesterday for a stress relief treatment just because I do it every week. It's part of my routine. And I think we need to remember this message we've had today. Eat good. Eat right. Put fats back into your diet. Real fats. Get rid of the processed food. Get rid of sugars. Look out for the hidden sugars. Let's eat good, healthy, organic, grass-fed food, and then we move with being more efficient about your exercise, which we contribute. Leslie Patterson, thank you very, very much for being on with me today and covering for Mitch and his staff. And I appreciate Miranda calling in and give us the dates of the things. And we'll look forward to seeing you September 4th and September the 18th, is it?
Yes, and Tazo, you're going to see me before that. $99 for 8 weeks. Sign me up, Mondays or Tuesdays. I'm going to be there.
All right, honey, bye. I look forward to seeing you, Leslie. God
and
bless.
Dancing with the Stars. Be well.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. I got more time to talk?
About 15 seconds.
All right, well, listen, I just want to wish everybody have a great weekend. Go down to the boardwalk. It's so important, that big concert series. And go to my friends at Pizza King and said, hey, listen, I hear you got good food here. God bless.
WNDB Daytona Beach, first in local news. Fox News updates at the top of every hour. Online at newsdaytonabeach.com.